Alrighty, Lauren.
Yeah.
So, I just went through my phone to calculate it out, and so you lost over 30 pounds. I think it was 32 pounds. We weighed at 193 in the beginning. Now we're all the way down to, we say, your high school weight, which the lowest we had, which was actually a little while ago, was 161.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, it was 32 pounds, and I also calculated it over the course of 28 weeks. It was like 6.5 months, which is a little bit over a pound every single week for a really sustained period of time. And I was saying to you in the beginning, like I feel that's so much more encouraging to me when I see somebody do what you did, which is where every single week you were lower than the week you were before. Like sometimes I'll see clients and they lose like 3 pounds, 8 pounds, something crazy in the beginning, but then they shoot back up, and then and so they're just yo-yoing, and I'm like, you're really not getting a handle of this. So even then, when they come back to me and it's like, look, I lost 3 pounds this week, but I'm like, yeah, but all the weeks prior, you did this back and forth thing. So we're clearly not consistently learning how to make a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
But that's what I saw from the beginning of you. It was like, even in the beginning, sometimes it was like you were just losing half a pound a week. But I was like, dude, that's awesome, because from the week before that, you lost half a pound. So that's a full pound that you're down, And then as you went, you start straightening together like some 2 pound weeks, even 3 pound weeks. And here we are. Like it doesn't take long to end up in a great place as long as you're taking like one step after another. You know what I mean? So just comment on that process of like building the consistency.
Well, I think for one, I was just very dedicated.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot in the beginning. There was a lot of things that I had to change pretty quickly, and things that I had to get used to. But I think like once I set my mind to something, like I will do it.
Yeah.
So it was really just keeping that mindset of like, this is my goal. I got to do what I need to do to get that goal, and so I think that really helped me stay consistent.
What were some of the things that had to change?
So the reason I had gained so much weight initially was a lot of poor food choices. So like I ate way too much. I did not eat a lot of vegetables. Someone I was seeing at the time was cooking me like huge portions of like not healthy meals like at all. So like I had to like really redo the way that I eat. And like prior to college, like I always ate that like protein and a vegetable and maybe like some sort of like starch like potatoes or bread or something. So I had to like kind of go back to that, and even just like making my portions smaller.
Yes, that
was
the
a
biggest
big
thing.
one. And then even just not going back for seconds. Like that's something that like my family does a lot, is they go back for seconds. I had to like really restrain myself, like even though this is good, like I cannot go back for seconds.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we talked about that one day. It was actually the week that you went on that vacation with your family to New York, and you came back and you had lost like 3 pounds that week, which is crazy, because you're on vacation. Everybody thinks, well, that's a foregone conclusion. I'm gonna gain weight on a vacation.
Yeah.
And you came back and you lost something. I was like, so what the heck did you do? Like, how did you work that? Because even I try to learn from my clients at a certain point. There really is a lot I learned from the more success interviews I do. This like just little tips and tricks that you guys utilize. And you said how you and Alexandra would split a meal, right? And then going back to the portion sizes, which is like the number one. That's like the keystone of my meal plan. Like if there's one thing I want people to get from my meal plan, is that portion size is the most important thing. Whereas the whole world, they just want to spiral about which food is better. And they'll like compare 2 foods that are healthy. They're like, which one's better for us, romaine lettuce or spinach? I'm like, they're both healthy. Like what? Like I can't even believe how many articles there are about this. Like that's not why we're overweight. It's because we're eating too much McDonald's and fast food, things like that. But anyways, come back to the portion sizes. And we were saying that day afterwards, like when you and Alexandra split a meal, that's not a little bit less calories you're having. That's literally half as many calories. That's huge. And then and then you said like vice versa, right? When you go back to sit for seconds, our human brains, we have in our heads that we're consuming a little bit more food. No, when you go exercise, you're consuming twice as much food, right? And I think I brought up to you that one woman, the nutritionist who taught at university, and she talked about how she would run this experiment with her students where she would ask them, how many calories in a can of Coke? And the kids would all respond correctly. They'd say, 100 calories in an 8-ounce can. And then she said, okay, so how many calories are in a 64-ounce bottle of Coke? And they would say, roughly 3 times as much calories was the average answer, when anybody can multiply by 8, right? 8 times 8, so there should be 8 times more calories. And yeah, I mean, this just kind of speaks to this fallacy that we have in our heads when it comes to portion sizes. So it sounds like for you that was one of the biggest things.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like while I was in college, with that, and then just eating out all the time, and you know, restaurants that give you like the biggest portion sizes.
Yeah.
And even if I like only ate some, like I was still eating the majority of that portion size. So that was something that I really had to like fix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny, like, you know, one thing you can do when you're eating out, right, is, and I remember I used to make this rule where I'd get a doggy bag, right? So it's like you split your portion in half and you bring it home. But then I would go home and I would eat it.
Exactly.
So then it didn't really do anything, right? Like really at the end of the day, when it comes to portion sizes, it's, you know, portions over time, right? So now if that was my dinner was half of it and I waited all the way until breakfast the next day and then that was my breakfast, have the other half, then that actually did cut down how much food I had over time, right? But if I just have it an hour later, that didn't do anything, right? So yeah, no, that's yeah, no, exactly. When you're going out, you're again the portion size that they gave you, and you're eating the vast bulk of it. And so what do you do? Pretty much every time, do you like cut it in half, or like, so what? You got a boyfriend recently, right? So you guys are going out to dinner and whatnot. What are you doing there? Are you trying to like reserve some of it for later?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the past couple times that we've gone out to eat, like I might get like a sandwich and then just like eat half the sandwich and then save the other half for later.
Perfect.
And then usually they come with fries, and I try not to eat all of my fries. I've always seen fries as like not relevant anyway, so I was like, as long as I like eat the main thing, that's fine. But I just like snack on the fries, and then like I eat half the sandwich and then I take the rest home.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that hangs people up is how to eat out healthy. And I do say on the one hand, you can eat the meal plan, even eating out. Like you can order a salad, ask for chicken on the salad. It pretty much is the meal plan. Like they're going to give you roughly 8 ounces of vegetables or 6 ounces of vegetables, and you know, probably 4 ounces or so chicken. I mean, that's it right there. And then, you know, you just tell them to be a little careful with the dressing. But if you don't do that, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, because probably what they are giving you in terms of food is exactly 2 meals worth. So a good rule of thumb is just make sure you have that meal for 2 meals. Okay, so that was one thing. Now, in terms of were you pretty consistent with weighing out your food and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty consistent. Yeah.
Did you get like more consistent over time? Like in the beginning, it was a struggle, but then you started to break through with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I said, all of a sudden it was just like, wow, she was really getting this. Like, you know, the weight differences were massive. Okay, so I want to ask exactly. So, what were you eating?
So I was very into chicken.
Okay.
I really like chicken.
What type? Are we talking chicken thighs, chicken breasts?
I do prefer dark meat, so I mostly ate dark meat.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm pretty limited on the vegetables I like, so I just kept eating the same stuff like green beans, carrots, peas, potatoes, broccoli sometimes.
Even that right there is a pretty big diversity. Like I have one of my most successful clients, Jeff. He lost 70% body fat in 3 months, which is that's by far the most I've ever seen anyone. It was huge. But he literally ate the same exact thing every day. Like he didn't change it at all. Like the same vegetables, the same protein in his chicken too. Even with his yogurt in the morning, he had was a mixture of blueberries and bananas, just every single day. And yeah, I think that's something that trips people up is, and once again, so much of the information we get from the nutrition industry makes it seem like that we need to consume this massive array of food to be optimally healthy. And then you go and see it, and it's like, oh wow, no, I can eat, you know, relatively similar things, and I feel better than I ever have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were there like, if you had to rank them, like which were you having the very most?
Probably green beans.
Green
I had a lot
beans.
of green beans, and then probably potatoes.
Yeah.
Green beans and potatoes were my favorite.
I think that is the best. Just keep going back to the left because that's the stuff that you can stick to the most consistently. What about your fruits?
Oh gosh, I love so many fruits. I had a lot of cherries. I had a lot of strawberries. I just had an apple today. I like bananas,
Yeah, I like that too.
peaches, blueberries. I feel like I ate a plum at some point.
Okay.
I don't know. I
But
really like fruit.
those are your biggest ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And people are gonna balk at their like, a banana. No, you can't have bananas. but there's that is way overblown how many calories, how much sugar is. I mean, once again, the reason why people are overweight in America is not because they're having too many bananas.
Right.
That is just simply not the problem. And also, are there more calories in a banana per ounce compared to, I don't know, let's say blackberries? Yeah, there are, right? But you're having such a small portion size that it doesn't matter. It's
Right.
insignificant, I always talk about like the slope of a line, right? Like, we could have lines that are going at two different slopes. And really in the very beginning, there's not that much separating them. But when we go out farther and farther, now there's a ton separating them. That out farther and farther is your portion size, right? So,
Yeah.
if I consume a 4-ounce cut of steak, right, that's going to have, more calories than the chicken, but really not that much more. Now, if I consume 2 pounds of steak versus 2 pounds of chicken, those
That's
are very different,
Yeah.
So once again, as long as you're consuming smaller portion sizes, really what you have doesn't matter. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the hunger as we went. So, where we find with a meal plan, I don't say what you eat is completely irrelevant because we do try to choose the most nutritious, most satiating foods. Were you able to find like majority of the time losing weight that you weren't really that hungry when you were sticking to it? Like these foods were more filling?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the beginning, I was getting pretty hungry.
Okay.
Or at the very least, like I was having a lot of cravings.
Yes.
And then as I went into it, like I was having them less and less.
Yeah.
And now that I'm where I want to be, like I am getting
A little more hungry.
A little more hungry.
Which we say is going to happen.
yeah.
And that's something people have to be ready for. Be ready for that, people on the camera, because a lot of people that lose weight, they'll hit their target weight, and they think it's just always going to be like that, like going right down. So in the beginning, right, you were feeling a lot of hunger, but now we know, right, that wasn't really hunger; it was cravings, because you were rewiring your brain to eating healthier food. So it wasn't that you're actually hungry; you're just craving sugary, fatty things. Once you undid that, all of a sudden, you're losing all this weight, but you're not hungry, right? Explain that to me, right?
Yeah.
The only way you can explain it is if in the beginning it wasn't real hunger. But anyways, once you lose the weight in, then you start to get leaner, then real hunger does pick up, and your body's saying like, whoa, because you can see it right now. Your arms, your face, your bone structure is like really popping out now. And that's what I told you the other day, like I wasn't, so we've maintained a bit for a couple weeks now, and I sent you this text message. I wasn't trying to be like a downer, like I didn't believe in anything. I just said is the hunger starting to pick up? Because I can see from looking at you, like you're getting pretty lean, and you're like, yeah, it is starting to pick up a bit, and so you want to get a little bit leaner. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but also just know at the same time, right, like you're pretty good at where you're at. This is something I was actually going to talk to you about the other day, but. We're probably going to increase your food intake a little bit now. So increase your protein, increase your veggies, and that way you can still lose weight, but just at a slower pace. The leaner and leaner you get, you want to go slower. I think, the meal plan that we had you on there was like 1,100 calories. So it's like really not a lot of food. So that's just with the level of leanness that you're at right now, that is going to make you feel like you're starving. So maybe we can bump it up to around more like 1,500, so you still lose weight, just at a slightly slower clip. But you'll be able to stick with it better. And then we really do want to start easing you into more of a maintenance, which for you, might be around 2,000 calories, which a lot of people, that might sound surprising, but a lot of women, I don't know, when I hear the 2,000 calorie a day diet, I kind of balk at that because most people are not maintaining that. Like most women, if you're their stature, they're eating like 2,200 calories, especially if they're active. And then most men are, once again, depending on their stature, around like 2,800 or so.
Oh, wow.
But I would say, I know that's how much I need. Honestly, I might pull into like damn near like 3,000.
Oh wow!
Because I am, I'm pretty active. But Anyways, so yeah, we'll start bumping up your calories a little bit. I think that'll help you. But yeah, I mean, are there any, I guess, other notes that you would add to people? Oh, I didn't ask you about your seasonings. What were you using to season your proteins and then your fruits, or sorry, vegetables?
I used whatever was in my mom's spice drawer. I know at one point there was like this bourbon seasoning. I used it to season just like some like taco beef.
Okay.
Just like ground beef.
Nice.
It was really good.
Nice.
I know we have like a Mrs. Dash kind of thing for vegetables that
Perfect.
I use a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the big ones.
That's all you need is a couple. That's okay. Going back to Jeff, he had there was a rotisserie seasoning, and Cajun seasoning, which is an interesting idea. He would just blend those together, which I don't know what that would taste like, rotisserie and Cajun flavors together. But he just kept doing that mixture until the cows came home. You know, if it's not broken, why fix it, right?
Right.
Are there any psychological tips you want to give to people, or things that work for you?
I think the biggest one is like having somebody like to hold me accountable. Like I kept hearing your voice in my head the entire time. Like anytime I saw dessert, I just heard you screaming at the back of my head, which really helped. And my mom too. She was kind of on this journey with me.
Nice.
So like every once in a while, we would just talk about like what we're each doing to lose weight and just like trying to support each other.
Perfect.
In that, so that was super helpful. Prayer, especially in the beginning, was really helpful. And again, I think just like knowing what you're working towards was super helpful to me. So just like having an image of where I wanted to be and working towards where that was really drove me to like keep myself going.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, so when you say prayer, was this like when the cravings were coming up, you would like pray through them, or you were just praying more consistently throughout the day in general, and you noticed that was helping you?
It was at before and after. I know you told me like when we first started to like set a timer for like the beginning of the day and set a timer for the end of the day, and then I just see that pop up and I'm like, oh shoot, let me pray real quick.
Wow. Okay. I'm so glad that worked. Yeah, that's everything. Put our faith in God, and then also, I don't think I mentioned this study in any of my success interviews yet, but they had this meta-analysis. I remember learning about this in my personal trainer exam. They brought this study up, but it was of 30,000 people who lost 30 pounds or more and kept it off for 3 years or more.
Wow.
And what they found in the study were all these commonalities, and one was they had a support system, and that's when I really answered. That's why I love training couples together who are trying to lose weight together, because when both people in the household are on the journey, it's just your odds of success really shoot up.
Yeah.
Than if one person, sometimes like the other person's like trying to bring the other person down, it's like not good, But if you have the exact opposite of that, where the people around you are building you up, so in this case it was your mom, it really makes all the difference in the world. Okay, well, I mean, did you have any other notes that you want to share with anybody?
I think the other thing was just walking every day.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
How did I forget the walking?
Yeah.
So when were you doing your walks?
I always did them at night.
Okay, gotcha.
And mostly because like it was over the summer and it was super hot, and I like to walk my dogs.
Nice.
So I tried to pick a cooler time of day so she wouldn't overheat, because I went on just one really long walk.
How long are we talking?
Like distance or time?
Let's go. Well, both. Yeah.
Okay, it was 3-4 miles.
Nice.
And it took me usually around an hour.
Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for people in the camp, so a mile is 2,000 steps roughly. So did you find that you were getting roughly like 6,000 to 8,000 steps at the end?
Yeah. And then I was also super active at my job, so that's why I usually ended up around like 8,000 to 9,000 at the end of the day.
Perfect.
And if it was anywhere less than that, it was usually because I didn't walk that day. But for the most part, like I really maintained that walk, and it got to the point where if I didn't walk, I felt like I didn't complete my day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the habits really started to seep in. Well, Laura, I can just say you've been such a blessing to have, and I'm still looking forward to more progress to go. Now we can get into the real muscle building phase.
Oh yeah.
Your boyfriend Isaiah has been putting up crazy. He broke like another bench press record today. I
Oh,
was like,
good.
there's no way he was going to beat it today, because he was like looking really off at the beginning and then you beat it. So I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah, just looking for all different things we can accomplish, and but yeah, it's just been incredible to see your transformation. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for being a
you.
great client. It's just a real blessing for me as a trainer.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
All right.